So today, guys, we're gonna do this cornbread, okay, buttermilk cornbread recipe. So we're gonna go through this, measure the ingredients, start working on putting them, we gotta melt the butter, so I may have somebody break out and do that. And then we will have you guys help me measure some of these ingredients and start putting them together. This recipe is a little different. It's actually, a lot of the ingredients are like mixed together in a pan. Okay, so we're gonna have a pan on the stove top. First thing we always wanna do is if we're gonna bake something in the oven, somebody wanna tell me what's the first thing? Preheat the oven. So actually I did that already. So this is 375 for this recipe. All right, so it's 375. We have that started. If you guys look, I have all my stuff out. Hopefully I got all my tools, all my ingredients. So I have buttermilk we're gonna need. We're gonna need cornmeal. We're gonna need baking soda, salt, flour, sugar, and eggs, okay? So these are the basic ingredients we're gonna need. I also, when I look at a recipe, I look and see what kind of tools I'm gonna need. So I have sugar, I'm gonna need 1/3 cup of sugar, 2/3 actually. So how do I do 2/3? You guys remember we went over?
You take the one, you take the 1.5 measuring cup and then you do it 3 times.
Well, you're thinking of something else. You do the 1/3, if it's 2/3, we need a 1/3 how many times?
Oh, sorry.
So go ahead, you wanna answer it? 1/3 how many times?
3 times.
2 times.
Oh.
1/3, if we need 2/3, we do it 2 times, okay? So we're gonna do that. We have 2 eggs, we have buttermilk. What are we gonna measure buttermilk in? If I need a cup of buttermilk, what kind of measure is it? Liquid measure, all right? So I have that here, all right? We need a teaspoon, half a teaspoon of baking soda. So we have the baking soda, and we have, I believe, our half a teaspoon is here, all right? So we have that. We need cornmeal. We need a cup of that. So what are we gonna measure a cup with? Dry measure cup. So we have that. We have our flat spatula to level it. So we have that ready. And the flour also, same thing, a cup measure, and our flat spatula we'll have that all measured. And then just a 1/4 teaspoon of the salt, all right? So the 1/4 teaspoon is probably the smallest teaspoon you can almost get. I think there's 1/8 is smaller than this. So we're gonna get going. So the first thing is a half a cup of butter. I know I haven't went over this with you guys, but a half a cup of butter. So here's a cup, and how can I measure this butter to get half a cup? Anybody know? We haven't really gone over this too much anyway, but
Anybody from last year, remember?
anybody from last year?
Maybe 20 seconds.
Okay, he's thinking about microwaving and melting it. I want to talk about measuring it. How do I know how to get a half cup of butter?
Go in the middle.
I go in the middle.
You go in the middle and then there's a line that you have to cut.
Okay, so he's saying that on here it'll tell us. It's pretty close. He's actually pretty close when he's talking about look on here. All right. What does this say on here? How many ounces? Go ahead.
4 ounces.
4 ounces. Does anybody know how much is in a cup? I don't know, you can't really see it good, but what's that number there? 8. So 8 ounces is a cup, right? Half of a cup is what?
4.
4 ounces. So do we have to measure any more?
No.
No, we already know that that's that. That's a half cup. So half a cup is how many ounces?
4.
4 ounces. All right. So we have to melt this. So I usually when I melt something, is it easy to put the whole chunk of butter in, or is it easier if we cut it up a little bit? We cut it up a little. So what I like to do is I have a paring knife, and we're just gonna kind of cut a couple chunks, and it'll melt a lot easier that way. So I'm gonna get this to somebody, and they're gonna melt the butter for me, and then we'll be right back over here. Put it right in the pan and put it on kind of low, and then we'll melt that slowly. We don't want to burn that butter. So while the butter's going, all right, we can start. Our next ingredients is going to be the sugar. So what did we say we needed with the sugar? 1/3, 2 times is what? 2/3. So we're going to need 2/3 of the sugar. So 1/3, right? We fill it every time. Of course, we don't want a big chunk like that, but we fill it. All right, and then we're going to level it. All right, and we can actually put that in
Simple.
a mixture, a bowl, mixing bowl, and have that ready to go. And I could use one more person over here, but you can keep it right in the middle for me here. So let's do one more 1/3. Somebody just do it and then put it over here for me and we'll add it. Or if you want, just put it in here. So the next thing, 2 eggs, all right? When we do 2 eggs, we'll make sure we keep them in one bowl. And when we do the eggs, we crack one at a time. All right, use the side, open it up with your thumbs and crack it in. And then we always usually have a paper towel on the side to hold our shells. So there's an egg, and I'm gonna have somebody else crack another egg over here and have that ready. Sure. So we got our eggs. The next thing, buttermilk. We need our liquid measure. All right. Whenever I use buttermilk, I always shake it because it's kind of a thick mixture. All right. And you want to make sure it's all incorporated in there. So we're going to shake it a little bit. And just remember, guys, when we do our milk, we do what?
Slowly.
Yeah, and then if I need a cup, I have to do what? What am I doing here, guys? What's that called? Where's my eye?
On the bottom,
Eye, what's the term?
eye level.
Eye level, okay? So we have our milk, buttermilk ready. So far we have our butter melting, right? We have our sugar measured, 2/3 cup. We have our buttermilk. Now we need a 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. And actually the baking powder or baking soda goes into the buttermilk. So actually we can do that. So
Butter doesn't seem to be melting.
Ryan, you come on over and you're just gonna measure this, level it, and then you can put it right into this buttermilk, all right? Set that up for me. So we're going to do a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, goes right in the buttermilk. I hope that buttermilk doesn't bubble over because of the baking soda.
I should. I never heard them add it.
Good. All right. And if you want, I don't know if
Like
you,
Alka-Seltzer.
yeah. And let's take, now we're good, that's fine like that. We'll just let it dissolve in there slowly. So we have our buttermilk with our 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda. Now the rest is just the dry ingredients. So the dry ingredients, I'm actually gonna just take this little bit of sugar, get rid of it so we have this bowl for our dry ingredients. So dry ingredients is gonna be our cornmeal, 1 cup. So I'm trying to think the best way we can measure without spilling because we can't really put our cup into this because it's big. So we're probably gonna have to pour this into a cup measure. So let's see. Let's have somebody different come on over and just do it over this. I think if we do it over this, then we can just dump that out. So you're gonna pour that until you get a cup. And here, if you have to level it, we'll do that. We'll get that ready. How's that butter coming?
Slowly getting that.
You got the right one. Let's go a little higher. Get that melted. There you go. I think you have it just not like warm, so we want to kind of get a little bit more. Okay, we're good.
Is this
It'll
good?
work. We want to fill to the top, right, guys?
Right.
Right to the top. I'm gonna need more of that for this afternoon. If we're gonna do this again.
Kind of looks like breadcrumbs.
Yeah. Looks like breadcrumbs
So
or
yummy.
almost like semolina. You ever see semolina? Kind of looks like that. Just
Polenta.
make sure it's.
Well, I've never eaten cornmeal by itself before.
No, but I love it. I love cornmeal pancakes. I love it.
Is this good?
I think that looks good. Do you want to pour it in there? So we have our cup of cornmeal. Now I need somebody to do a cup of flour for me.
Come on, Jose. Step up.
You could come over here and do it.
Yes, no, the other Jose we have. You silly.
Another thing, guys, I got the pans here that are ready, and it does say grease the pans, so we're gonna get that ready. and it can go right in this bowl. Nice, nice, nice. And then quarter teaspoon of salt. Perfect. I know we kind of got everything up here at once, but Tony, you want to get this half a teaspoon of salt or quarter teaspoon? You could do it over that recipe if you want, so it kind of spills on that.
Slide me that Crisco, I can have somebody do that for you.
Yeah, let's get the, so we're gonna get the pan grease.
Kevin, you wanna do the pan for the Crisco?
So what we're gonna do is we're gonna grease the whole bottom and then put this parchment paper in on top and grease that also, and that will help it come out a lot
How much
easier.
salt did you say?
Just that's, whatever that measurement is, quarter teaspoon. You did it? And it's in there. So guys, we have all the dry ingredients in here. All right, I'm just gonna combine them so they're all mixed together. It's got cornmeal, flour, and the salt is in here. What we also could do is, I don't see why not, is we have our eggs in there. I think we're gonna just mix our eggs up and get them all mixed together. So we're just gonna beat the eggs together. And we have all our ingredients here ready. Now we're just waiting for our butter. That butter is not melted yet. Next time, I'm just gonna throw it in the microwave and melt it.
Well, that's what I thought you were doing. I realized you were
Yeah.
going over to a pan.
Because it says it wants it in a pan, so I just figured we'd get her all going.
I got it on medium, but I'll.
I guess we gotta preheat the burners next time too. Not only the oven, but the burner needs to
Well,
be
the butter's
preheated.
cold, right? Or was it out?
Yeah, I brought it out towards the end.
Crab is good with melted butter.
Yes, it is. Lobster too.
And then we'll grease on top too, one more time, you know?
Like 1 teaspoon.
So guys, just to give you guys a heads up to getting all this stuff out, all the ingredients and the tools. Does anybody know what the term of that is called? What's the term? Anybody know? Mise en place.
Nice.
Right, getting everything out. So it's always good to have all your stuff and look and get it ready. So in the future, it's a good idea, like if I give out recipes ahead of time, that if you guys, maybe we'll sign people, okay, you're gonna get the flour, you're gonna get the tool for the flour. Somebody else can get the eggs, you're responsible for the eggs. Somebody can get the liquid measure, all right? And we'll do it that way. So anyway, we're just gonna review again the steps that we need to do. So the first step we're still working on, melt the butter. We've been working on the butter for about 10 minutes now, so the cooking time is gonna be pulled away a little bit. But once the butter is melted, we take it off the heat. We're gonna bring the pan here and we're gonna stir in our sugar. So what maybe a good idea is to get it in order. So first thing is gonna be what? The sugar. We'll get that out. The next thing is gonna be the eggs. That's next to that. You know what I'm saying? So we're kind of set up. Bring these tables together. So we have sugar, we have eggs. What else? The buttermilk and baking soda is the third step. And then the only thing we have left is our dry ingredients. And I think in the dry ingredients, I think I might actually use the whisk
I thought
to start them.
blender.
No, no blender in this. It's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
by hand.
The blender is the best.
Yeah, the blender is a good way, but you mean the mixer you maybe mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we'll just go by hand because it doesn't say anything about a mixer. In here it says all just combined and mixed together. So guys, what we did with this pan, what I like to do is the parchment paper, grease the bottom of this first, underneath the paper, then we put the paper in. And then what I like to do is grease the whole paper too. And what does that prevent it from doing? Huh?
Spilling over.
Not spilling over. What's the reason we grease a pan, first of all? So it doesn't stick. It won't stick in the pan. What's the hardest thing about when getting something out of a pan? When it sticks. So if we can grease this whole pan, we gotta go to sides, corners. It's really important, the corners you need to grease real good. And what's nice about this with the paper is I can use this paper, and when it's cooked, I can actually use the paper and pull it right out.
Didn't you say
It'll
that stuff
come
was
right out.
gross?
What's that? The Crisco?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much just fat, but what are you gonna do? You have to cook with it. Sometimes you bake with it, make pies. You might be using this for pies later on. I'm hoping we can start getting some apples in here and maybe make some stuff with apples.
The buses are coming.
All right, how's that butter? We almost ready?
You having fun, Todd?
Looking pretty good now.
Oh yeah, we're good. That's fine. All right, we're gonna take it right, shut that off. So guys, we have our butter. So our butter is melted and we're not burning the butter because we just watched it very carefully. And we are gonna add our sugar. So everything's gonna be just combined right in this pan. Make it toast nice and smooth.
Sugar butter.
Yep.
Awesome.
I just thought it was a real thing.
What's that?
I just thought it was a real thing called sugar butter.
I know. I'm sure there is.
There's a lot of weird things out there.
When you guys make cookies, we get into making cookies, that's basically the first ingredients you put together. Butter and the sugar, but you don't melt the butter. You keep it nice and cold and you mix it up that way. And it's called creaming when you do the butter and the sugar together. All right, so butter and sugar is mixed. Next thing is the eggs. What do you want to be careful with the eggs? Not only that, but we're putting in heat. What can happen? Yeah, you got to be careful you don't start cooking. That's why I believe they want us to take it right off as soon as it melts. Because if it's too hot, this is actually going to cook them eggs. And then what are we going to have in here? Scrambled eggs and butter and sugar. And I don't know if that's what the recipe wanted us to do.
Scrambled eggs.
Yep, scrambled eggs and sugar. You guys might like that. I don't know.
Sounds kind of scary.
Yeah, it's a little strange for sure. All right, so we have our egg mixture in here. The next is the buttermilk and our baking powder, or soda, I mean. Keep getting confused, baking soda. And you get a nice liquid measure or mixture here. And last is our dry ingredients.
The salt, flour, and the cornmeal.
Exactly. And I'm gonna keep this nearby in case I need to mix it a little bit thoroughly and or I don't get lumps. But I'm gonna start with the wooden spoon and see what happens. See if we can keep it nice and smooth. And I believe that pan should be good enough, big enough for us. And what this is, we can actually slice it in like a loaf and little slices of bread. And I think we have everything in here. So everything's here. It's important to get the sides so it's not all dry on the edges. And we could also use this. What could we use on this if we have a problem? We could use a rubber spatula also to scrape this down. True, I believe I probably could have handled it with the spoon, but this does get it off pretty easily.
This smells good.
Yeah, it does smell pretty good. Even through a mask, I could smell a little bit. But it said just to try to get most of the lumps, I mean, as much as you can. In other words, it doesn't want to have a lot of big lumps in here. I'm sure a few little ones aren't going to really be a big problem, but you want it as smooth as you can. All right.
What time is it?
It is 10 o'clock. We just finished it up in time, I think. All right. I think that's pretty good, guys. We have it pretty smooth. I could take the wire whisk and maybe go through a little bit more, but I don't even know if I need to do that. So now, all I'm going to do is start putting it what? Into the pan. And again, I might need a wire whisk or a rubber spatula I need to get the rest of this out. And we can clean this out probably pretty good with this. Get a better angle here so our viewers can see.
Wait, we're putting this on TV?
Well, it's gonna go on like a video, and then what we're gonna do is you guys might have another assignment on this tomorrow, on how to prepare this.
I was making a joke about it because like you said, our viewers.
Yeah,
Technically speaking, we're actually our own viewers.
you guys are lucky, you guys get to see it firsthand. But then they have people that are remote, right? Are they in the class? So I'm trying to like do this so the remote people get kind of a feel of what we're actually doing in class.
Some remote people are just doing this because they want to stay home.
Yeah. So anyway, so this is how it looks after it's in the pan. And we're just gonna cook this for 30 to 40 minutes, it says. We'll check it with a toothpick or some kind of knife or something, insert it. If it comes out dry, it's done. We'll let it cool off, and then you should be able to pull it right out like this and take it off this paper, and then tomorrow we'll check into it and slice it out and try it out. All right?
Okay.
So that's the recipe for today, guys. Thank you.